Hello, beloved. Welcome to Free at Last. We're going to get you free from that pesky perfectionism. God knows where it got started. But today you're going to be having a session with my dear friend, Beth Weinstein. Beth is a coach to entrepreneurs. She's a 3-time entrepreneur. And she is also super into things that I'm into. I don't even know how to say that. We have a deep affinity for the shamanic path. And I really love what she guides you through here, which is ultimately about how to surrender and let go, how to really be in the flow. Because especially if you are an entrepreneur, a leader, a creator of any kind, there can be like a feeling of like just all the burden is on our shoulders. So I really love that Beth is going to teach you her technique of giving it to the river. So enjoy the session.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. I am Beth Weinstein, and thanks for being here for this exercise. So I'm a spiritual business coach who helps current and aspiring entrepreneurs align with their true purpose and grow their business so that they can help more people live a life you love and do what you love, working on your own terms from anywhere on earth. And I've been asked by Anahita to share an exercise that will help you get out of perfection. And I was just telling her how I had written a book chapter in an upcoming book that is coming out later this fall. And it was about just this. It was about one of my favorite techniques for letting go of the downward spiral of perfectionism and how to learn to stop worrying and start surrendering and trusting in the flow. I call it the give it to the river technique. So just so you know a little bit about me. So I'm a 3-time entrepreneur, and before that, I helped early stage startups scale. And before that, I actually got paid very well in corporate America to be a perfectionist. So I know what it's like to be a perfectionist and really struggle trying to get out of it. It's a bad habit, I get it. So in my corporate career, I did product development. I helped get products made and shipped and delivered. So it was a combination of doing a lot of operational work, like getting shit done, as they say, and managing large teams of people in order to make sure a product was delivered. But a huge part of my job was actually developing the product along with a team of designers and other people involved. But my job is to make sure the product was very perfect, down to the littlest, tiniest details. So I got paid to be very detail oriented and very perfect and deliver very perfect products. And so that came naturally to me because I've always been a perfectionist. I'm a very type A personality. You know, I lived in New York for 21 years. I have a very natural entrepreneur personality. I'm a Sagittarius with a Capricorn rising and a Leo moon. And if you know much about Capricorn energy, it has a lot of that hard work, you know, perfectionism energy. So I get it. And then, you know, when I fell into entrepreneurship, or finally did entrepreneurship, I didn't fall into it. It was actually my lifelong dream. You know, so this is my 3rd business, and I started witnessing the downward spiral of perfectionism at a very early start. So my very first business was along with a business partner, and we spent a lot of time trying to make it perfect. We developed a product, and so we spent almost a year, and we actually never even launched it because all of that energy was going into this cycle of trying to be perfect, trying to do the perfect business plan, trying to get the perfect investor. And really, what I learned from that very quickly was like, that doesn't work. And it's also a big waste of time and energy. In my second business, I actually had my own running and fitness apparel clothing line, which is actually still out there. I just don't really do it anymore. And again, I experienced this need to make everything perfect, but I also had really great mentors and coaches and learned very quickly that it was all about fail fast. So I went from corporate into working in the tech startup world, where their motto in tech startups is fail fast. And it is all about just delivering something and not worrying about perfect, because you can always go and you should always iterate on whatever it is you're putting out there. So thankfully, I learned this from the tech startup world to let go of the perfection and really just deliver and constantly be testing and iterating. So, and then of course, now as a spiritual business coach, this is something I really teach to a lot of my clients. And one of the best things that's really, really helped me along this journey and a lot of my clients is really to learn to trust in the process and trust in, you know, whatever they call the flow, and surrendering to the present moment. So if you start to think about, you know, what perfectionism is and what it does to you, is it's really it tends to be not, you know, it tends to be not a present mind state. So when you worry about doing something perfect, it tends to be a very future based thinking, right? So you're not actually grounded in the present moment of, you know, what is it I'm doing right now. And really, when you're not present in your business or life or whatever it is, you know, you're not in the state of creation, you're not in the state of flow. You're in a state of monkey mind, thinking, worrying, trying to do it right, trying to get it right. And this exercise I'm going to teach helps you let go of that. I, for many years, have been using visualization techniques to help me, you know, control my mind and my thoughts and really stay in a present state. So, you know, that's part of what I'm going to be teaching. But one thing I just want to say about perfectionism is if you start to really give it some thought about, you know, what it means to be perfect, if you think of it from a philosophical standpoint, everything actually already is perfect. Like there is no such thing as perfection as the way we think of it. Like I want the perfect body, or I want the perfect business, or the perfect house, you know, because the reality is everything is actually perfect because this is all there is right now in this present moment. Like right now, this is perfect because this is all that actually truly exists. The future doesn't exist and the past doesn't exist. Those are no longer there. You know, the past is over. It only exists in your head. And the future, you don't know what's going to happen, right? We don't actually know the future. Even the best psychics, it's like, you know, we don't know how it's going to unfold. So perfectionism is a construct of the ego mind to really control us and keep us prisoners of our own mind. So that's the number one thing that I realized many years ago is, you know, if you just really start to get into the idea of divine perfection, which is everything truly is perfect as it is now, accepting the present moment, accepting what is, and what is right now. What is your business right now. What is your life right now, your money right now, your body right now. So just think of it that way. And then also, you know, I'm a big believer in how you use your energy. So a lot of people talk about time or money, like a waste of time or a waste of money, but really our most precious resource is our own energy and how we spend it and how we, you know, use it towards creation or putting a product out there or a business or anything in our life. So if you start to think about, I always call it this spiral, because you get into this kind of a cyclone spiral of perfection. You know, if you look at it, you're actually spending a lot more energy than you really need to be spending on something. So if you could spend 2% of energy to put something out there that's good enough versus, you know, 50% of your energy to put out something out there that you think is perfect, and in reality, it's actually, you know, probably not perfect enough for you because it never is, right? Then, you know, you're actually not using your energy well, you know, and this is why a lot of my clients come to me very burnt out, right? They've maybe tried to grow their business for a couple of years and they're really stuck and they haven't grown it to the level that they want. They don't have the clients that they want. They haven't built it to where they want. And what I come to find out is they're really stuck in this cycle of like, oh, I've been trying to do this and this and this and this and this and doing. And they feel already burnt out by their new business and uninspired, and they're not creating from that place of divine inspiration. So really think of, you know, how you spend your energy and what it takes to do something perfect. You know, you could be using probably a fraction of the energy you put in. And in reality, that also goes for time and money. So energy is time and money is energy. So think about it that way, and just think about, you know, your energy is limited, you know, like we want to use it wisely. And to be honest, like I would rather use my precious energy for, I don't know, going on a hike outside or spending time with my partner or friends, or, you know, enjoying life, dancing and singing, versus spending hours and hours and hours like trying to make something perfect. So, you know, and then if you think about how being perfect makes you feel, like, you know, in the state of trying to make something perfect, trying to get it right, trying to always do perfectly, you know, it actually makes you feel worse most of the time. You know, you feel bad about yourself, you beat yourself up, you get into that cycle of self-sabotage, and you get caught in this downward spiral of, you know, not feeling good enough, getting into comparison with your peers or other people on the internet, which is one of the worst, right? And you know, this is actually my friend slash ex-boyfriend taught me the term compare despair, and how when you're trying to be this perfect image or this perfect person or perfect business, and then you're comparing to what you think you should be or what your ideal is, or the person down the street that has, you know, the bigger house or the better car or whatever it is, you know, all this does is actually lowers your vibration. It makes you feel bad about yourself. It doesn't really, you know, give you inspiration. You know, you beat yourself up, and then you go in this downward spiral, you know. And there's actually a book that I love that I recommend that illustrates this, how there's a threshold of the upward spiral and the downward spiral. And when you hit this downward motion, I think, you know, it's like, you can think of it as like a percentage. Like when you're below the 50% mark, you know, you actually just kind of start going downward. But if you can raise yourself above the 50%, then you have a chance to go upward, right? And it's all about raising your vibration and staying high energy, inspired, high vibration, happy, enjoy state and flow state. And that's when everything just gets easier and it gets more fun. So that is the premise of what I'm going to talk about. But those are really important points that I want you to remember throughout this process, because if you can just remind yourself constantly of like, wow, I actually feel bad doing that, and that's wasting my energy, and I'm actually not getting anywhere, and all I'm doing is, you know, spending time and energy and actually feeling worse, then like, what's the point? Like, what's the point of having a business if that's how it makes you feel? So this technique is a visualization technique that will help you, you know, let go of being stuck, let go of scarcity, you know, reduce comparison, keep yourself from thinking like, you know, am I doing this right? Am I doing enough? And all these monkey mind, fear-based thoughts, these thoughts about, you know, am I good enough? Is this right enough? Like, oh, it's not as good as hers, or, you know, my coach says this and blah, 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 that. You know, it's really to let go of that and get out of your head and really get into the place of trust, and really like trust in yourself, trust in the universe, and trust in, this is the journey, this is your journey, and this is all it's about, is the journey. And really to stay present and surrender the control of the false belief of perfection, and really embody trust, which helps you be in constant flow. And let me tell you, like, the more I feel like I live most of my life in flow, and the more that I live in flow and I see my clients moving into flow, everything just gets easier and more enjoyable, and it's almost effortless. Like, I feel like I don't work sometimes. Most of the time I actually don't feel like I'm working, you know, or I'll spend, you know, a few months just like working very minimally and go hiking and live on my land and like gardens, and my business still grows. So, you know, there is a way to do this. Like, we've all been taught wrong, the paradigms of doing and doing it right and being perfect and working hard. You can just throw it all away, because it's actually a completely old paradigm that is on its way out, and it's not serving you, and it's actually not serving the planet as a whole. And if you're here to be a leader, this is where you need to go. You need to go into trust and surrender, and teach others this. So one of the first things you can do when you're stuck in the state of like trying to do perfect and, you know, worrying and freaking out and comparing yourself, you know, the first thing you do is get present, right? So if you don't have a daily meditation practice, take it up. But, you know, let's say you already meditated and you're stuck in this. Take a few moments out. Like, I sometimes will go sit outside, or actually go to my meditation cushion, or even just, you know, sit at my desk and take a moment and stop everything and just observe your thoughts and feel into your body. Like, how do you actually feel? Do you feel positive or negative? Like, what are the thoughts that you're having? Are these empowering thoughts? Are they coming from fear or trust? Are they coming from illusion, which is the illusion of perfection? Or are they coming from what is real, which is, your inspiration, your love, your heart? So doing this mental scan will help you get in touch with your thoughts and get into awareness. So, the more present you are and the calmer you are, the easier this is. So, once you're present and calm, really, I've used a lot of visualization throughout my whole life, and I use this with all my clients. And to me, it really is powerful, especially if you're a visual learner, or, you're exposed to a lot of beautiful imagery, or if you just have a vivid imagination. So I live out in nature, and I like to use nature as a teacher because I do believe it is. One of the techniques I use is this image of a flowing river. So, and I also use another image of a mountain, climbing a mountain, but the river is a good one for this. So, and then by the way, water is very healing. So, anytime you're near a river or a stream or even the ocean, whatever, speak to it and ask for help in this process, and it will help you back. So the next step is to, start to visualize a flowing river. Like, picture a place you've been, or picture a river nearby, or an image you've seen, or a movie you saw. And picture, like how the river winds, and there's some rocks, and there's rapids, and, it flows and it moves, and sometimes it's calm, and sometimes it's choppy, and sometimes there's a big waterfall, and sometimes there's a big pool. And if you just imagine this and picture yourself either up on a bridge above the river, or I actually like to imagine being on the side of a river, like a beautiful river bank where there's maybe a little bit of a rocky beach and some beautiful bushes, and like I actually go to the jungle in Peru and stay on a river, and I'm actually going there today, later tonight. I picture myself on this river, and I picture, there's these beautiful rocks and birds and jungle imagery, like trees overhead. And I picture myself taking my problem, like, okay, my perfection, or let's say I'm in the middle of a new launch, like I am actually myself right now. So I always have a tendency to want to make everything perfect because that's who I am in my core. But I also know that doesn't serve me. So what I do is I just say, okay, you know what? I'm going to take that fear-based perfection feeling of making everything totally right and just throw it into the river. Like, let it go. Like, surrender it to the power of the water and ask her. She's a very feminine power. The water is a feminine energy. And ask her to release it to a higher source, release it to the universe to unfold as it wishes. Just make a prayer or whatever it is you believe in, and just say, like, here is my best. This is coming from my heart, but my fear-based thoughts are taking over and causing me some pain and anxiety and doubts and worries, and taking me into a downward spiral. So instead of going that way and wasting all my energy, I'm going to take this problem or this project or whatever it is and give it to you, and just give it to the river. Let it go, and really feel her force. I use the word prayer, but you can say like desires, my wishes, whatever. This is not about Christianity or anything, but and speak to her as a force. This is a force. Water is the majority of who we are, and our brains, by the way. So the more you can speak to her on a regular basis, I actually put water up on my altar every day and have prayers to the waters. When you speak to her and ask for this help in letting go and help you get into flow as in river flowing, you will actually feel lighter, calmer, and more relief, and more, the creative energy comes back versus the fear-based energy. And so really just breathe into this and exhale, inhale, exhale, and really tune into whatever you believe in is above, like beyond you, a higher power, your higher self, the universe, whatever it is. And, surrender your problem to the divine will. Ask for guidance, ask for, I like please release me, please guide me, please help me be of service to you. Please release me from my fear-driven thoughts is one that I really love. I also have a mantra, please use me for your highest divine purpose, or, I surrender this for the greater good of all concern. It's really asking for surrender and really going to that state of trust and really trusting yourself and your intuition and knowing that, you can do this or anything without getting caught up in fear and the ego illusion of perfection. So when you make this choice to trust, you have to keep staying in it. Like it's almost every moment you have to repeat this to yourself. I've actually gone there many times myself, like especially when it's something big, you're starting a business or growing something or doing something really scary. Like I moved to the middle of nowhere after living in New York City for 21 years. And I was like, whoa, that's a huge change. But I was feeling the pull and I was being intuitively guided to come up here. And I just kept saying like, trust. Like, and if you have to use the mantra every moment, trust the process, trust my path, follow my path, follow my intuition, get into your body, feel down into your heart and your body. And the more you can be in your body and really get into that trust, the more you will experience flow. And just so you know, when I dove into the trust of moving my whole entire life to a completely like 180 lifestyle, I met the love of my life. My business grew like crazy. I manifested the dream home that I've wanted for like 20 years. I've like made some amazing friends. Like it's so beautiful. I wake up and smell it. I mean, I can go on and on. Like everything has flowed divinely perfectly when I stepped into that ultimate level of trust, which, like to me, that was actually deeper than any business that I've ever started or any launch I've ever done. But, trusting something as big as moving your whole entire life from a completely different lifestyle to another one by yourself and moving to the middle of pretty much nowhere. I mean, I'm not totally in the middle of nowhere, but it does all work out. In the end, it all works out. And I do this with clients. I have a lot of clients, especially newer entrepreneurs, who really go into that state of, but this is scary, or I'm, like a bunch of my clients have left their jobs and started new businesses, or, grown their business to a new level that felt really uncomfortable, and they get stuck in this fear and the scarcity mentality. And, the trust is all it comes down to, because when you're in trust with yourself and trust with the universe and you stay in the alignment, of the heart, and the heart being guided, intuitively guided, and when you do everything coming from that place of, intuitive and inspired creativity and inspired action, that's where everything is divine. The divine abundance comes in, the divine flow, like the right people, the right time, all the right clients, like everything works out. It's just, you have to start testing this for yourself and seeing the results. And, if you don't believe me, go start some small tests. Like just start trusting on a small scale, like trust something you put out there and see what happens, or, spend a weekend like wandering around with no plan other than to be intuitively guided and see who you meet and see what you run into. And you'll start to notice like, wow, that's amazing. That happened and that happened, and synchronicities, and people, like the right clients come in and the right people, resonate with you when you're in your heart and you come from this place of trust. So I hope this helps you. I could talk forever about this because it's so deep in the work that I teach. And really, when you're stuck in perfection, it's the polar opposite of trusting yourself and trusting the flow of life. So that's why I wanted to teach this. And I just want to, I have this quote in the book chapter that I wrote around the best way to predict your future is to create not from the known, but from the unknown. When you trust in yourself, you trust in your future. That's a quote by Dr. Joe Dispenza, whose work I really love. But it's really about this place of, stepping into the unknown constantly, stepping into the level of surrender and trust constantly. Because if we knew what it was going to look like, you would have already done it, right? Like, but we don't know anything about how it's going to look. So you have to stay in this place of trust and surrender in order to get the results that you've never had before. So anyways, I hope this has been helpful. I am, again, Beth Weinstein. I can be found at bethaweinstein.com. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. You will get a free gift in, I think, my email today. But I hope this presented some beautiful ideas for you and a great visualization. Again, the bottom line, pray with the water, give it to the water, let it go, and really trust. Because when you start experiencing the level of what can happen when you really let go and just step into trust, you will not believe how much better it is living this way, and how much your business grows and your clients get more results and your life is happier and everybody around you is happier. And this is how all of us together will create a better planet for you, for me, and for everybody and all the creatures and all of the planet. So it's really, it's big. It's beyond you. It's a big, big paradigm shift that we all need to take a part of and do our part in really stepping into this level of trust and being in flow. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.
All right. Well, there you go. That was that session. So hopefully you enjoyed and you really took it to heart. I really love the visualization that she guides us through, and I went through it. So hopefully you did as well. And I'll see you in the remaining sessions. Bye, loves.